While Taehyung and Jungkook were sweetly arguing about ham or sausage, Jungkook's actual gesture revealed who was special to him. In one of the most revealing moments of the show Are You Sure?, there was a situation that revealed much more than met the eye. Jungkook was sitting with Taehyung and Jimin when a minor argument arose over a food item. Jungkook, curious as ever, asked what they were eating. Taehyung replied that it was ham. But Jungkook disagreed and insisted that it was pink sausage. While Taehyung continued to insist that it was ham, Jungkook insisted that no, it was pink sausage. At that point, they decided to have Jimin taste the food to resolve the doubt. Jimin, like Taehyung, also said it was ham. Jungkook, still unconvinced, directly asked the chef what it was. The answer was clear: pink sausage. Up to that point, everything seemed like a normal interaction between the three. However, what came next changed the entire tone of the scene. After hearing the chef's response, Jungkook made a gesture with his chopsticks directly toward Jimin. It wasn't just any gesture, it was firm, somewhat direct, even a little aggressive, as if he were making a point. Interestingly, he didn't use the gesture when he was arguing with Taehyung, even though Taehyung had also given the wrong answer. Taehyung had said it was ham, just like Jimin. But Jungkook didn't react that way toward him. With Taehyung, however, the attitude was different. Even when Taehyung made a mistake, Jungkook didn't correct him harshly or make any kind of annoyed gesture. On the contrary, the entire moment between them unfolded smoothly. In a scene where Jungkook is preparing ice cream, Jin approaches him playfully. Jungkook, without missing a beat, makes a slight gesture. He playfully pushes him a little, just to get on with what he was doing. But that attitude changes completely when Taehyung approaches the same machine at another point. When Taehyung arrives while Jungkook is making his ice cream, there's no pushing. On the contrary, Taehyung places his hand on Jungkook's. Not as if he wants to take his turn, but as if he's looking for a reason to touch him. And Jungkook doesn't pull away, nor does he react as he did with Jin. He leaves Taehyung's hand there, as if he's been waiting for that touch. That moment doesn't end with a simple gesture. After receiving that closeness, Jungkook ends up handing the ice cream to Taehyung. Nothing needs to be said, because everything is already said in that action. Enough to make it clear that this ice cream wasn't just a dessert, it was a way of showing something that can't be hidden. When another person approaches, Jungkook responds quickly, with direct action. But when it's Taehyung, everything is softer and more focused on staying close. There's no trace of rivalry or competition here. The only thing that's clear is the constant desire to share things together, to be present for each other, regardless of whether there are cameras or people around. When a gesture as simple as handing ice cream becomes a way of getting closer, it's a sign. The important thing wasn't the dessert, but the moment they built together. A silent moment, but with a clear message for whoever pays attention. When Jungkook unconsciously grabs Taehyung's waist, it shows that his desire to be close to him cannot be controlled, not even when the cameras are rolling. In every public appearance or recording where Taehyung and Jungkook are together, certain physical cues stand out effortlessly. The moment Jungkook grabs Taehyung's waist in such a clear and direct manner reveals a physical need that goes beyond the casual. It's not a simple touch, but a natural movement that shows dominance, desire, and trust. This type of gesture, when repeated over time, creates a clear line between what you do with anyone and what you only do with someone you care deeply about. Jungkook doesn't quickly pull his hand away, and Taehyung doesn't move away or show discomfort. On the contrary, he responds as if this type of contact is normal between them. The way Jungkook behaves around Taehyung also reveals a possessive, but not aggressive, attitude. He's playful, but you can tell he's always looking for some kind of physical connection with him. When Taehyung is around, Jungkook changes. He smiles differently, acts differently, and most of all, he touches differently. It's as if his body knows he can do things he wouldn't do with anyone else. That confidence isn't built overnight, nor is it faked in a performance. You can feel it in the way Jungkook looks for any excuse to touch him, like when he runs his hand down his back or grabs his waist for no apparent reason. Taehyung and Jungkook have proven many times that their relationship goes beyond any ordinary relationship. But this episode of Are You Sure is one of those moments that makes it especially clear. The difference in Jungkook's behavior when interacting with Taehyung and then with Jimin wasn't accidental. It was a clear sign of how he acts when he's with someone who truly means something more. When they were arguing about whether it was ham or pink sausage, the way Jungkook and Taehyung spoke had a different rhythm. Although they disagreed, there was no annoyance between them. It was almost like a routine they knew well. There was rhythm, calm, and a trust that wasn't broken even if there was a mistake. Even when Jungkook was right and the chef confirmed it, there was no intention of winning the argument in front of Taehyung. He didn't forcefully correct him or laugh at him. He simply let the moment flow, as if the answer was less important compared to the person in front of him. With Jimin, however, things were different. When Jimin repeated what Taehyung had said, Jungkook did feel the need to visibly correct him. He used his chopsticks in a way that wasn't exactly aggressive, but firm. It was an action that showed that with Jimin, that same gentleness doesn't exist. And while the gesture wasn't violent, the intention was clear. With Taehyung, Jungkook never goes that far. There are many ways to show that a relationship is strong. Sometimes it shows in nice words, other times in subtle gestures. But in this case, it showed in what wasn't done. Jungkook didn't allow himself to react angrily toward Taehyung, even though he had the same reasons for doing so as with Jimin. That choice, conscious or not, shows an invisible line of protection. It shows that there's someone you don't want to hurt even a little, not even in play. Throughout multiple recordings, there's one constant that doesn't change between Jungkook and Taehyung. Whenever they're close, their bodies act as if they have a language of their own. They don't look at each other for permission. They don't ask. They just move, and the other follows. There's something almost automatic about that way of being together. When one advances, the other accompanies. When one touches, the other doesn't move away. No explanation is needed because their gestures already say it all. In shared moments, their movements seem coordinated without words. It's not a coincidence. It's not repetition. It's a response. As if everything was planned. As if, amidst the chaos of cameras and people, they only needed to follow each other. This isn't coincidence. Nor is it an act. The way they seek each other out with such small gestures indicates something deeper. When they're in public, they could keep their distance. They could act differently. But they don't. Sometimes they don't even notice they're being recorded. Their gestures are so natural that it seems like they're just being themselves, unfiltered, hiding nothing. That's what's striking, their way of being close even in environments where others act cautiously. The detail of Taehyung touching Jungkook's hand at the ice cream machine isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern. A pattern where the two always find ways to stay close. Where contact isn't a rare occurrence, but part of everyday life. Where a smile carries more weight than a word. For many Taehyung fans, these scenes aren't just sweet, they confirm a truth that doesn't need to be explained. When two people understand each other without speaking, it's because there's already something established between them. It goes without saying. It shows. In every exchange of glances. In every shared gesture. In every time one reaches out for the other without being asked. One of the most notable elements of Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is how consistent their actions have been over time. What today seems like a spontaneous gesture, like a glance, a caress, or a private smile, has also been present for years. These aren't just one-time behaviors to attract attention. They're repeated patterns that are part of how they live together, even in front of thousands of people. That repetition carries weight. It's no coincidence that their hands reach out, their bodies lean closer, and their gaze always ends up on each other. The way Taehyung places his hand on Jungkook's, for example, needs no explanation. No one touches someone like that when it means nothing. Placing his hand on top of them in the middle of an activity as simple as scooping ice cream may seem like a minor gesture, but what makes it special is how he does it. He does it confidently, unafraid of contact, seeking a reason to feel Jungkook's presence, even for a few seconds longer. And when Jungkook hands Taehyung the ice cream with a smile that isn't just any old one, it's clear that there's a private language between them. One that doesn't need anyone to translate. In many other moments, both recorded and casual, their reactions are so natural that they seem to live in their own world. If Taehyung moves, Jungkook follows. If Jungkook stops, Taehyung approaches. There's a constant synchronicity, as if their way of being together is already rehearsed by the simple fact of sharing so many moments. There's no hesitation in their bodies, no pause to calculate whether the gesture is appropriate or not. They do it because that's how they relate, without filters. It doesn't matter if they're surrounded by people or if the cameras are focused directly on them. The touch, the glances, and the small gestures continue to appear as if the rest of the world doesn't exist.